Good morning, children. We are going to start with the non-conventional sources of energy. In our previous class, we have studied about the conventional sources, that is non-renewable sources of energy. If you just recall, examples were coal, petroleum, natural gas. Their characteristics, features, what we studied was they were limited, and they, with the usage, they gets finished off. In the other way, we can say they are exhaustible. So also these conventional resources are they cannot be replenished. That is why once used up, they are over. Now, in order to replace these resources, so the other form of resources what we have, the available form of resources are the non-conventional resources. Now, what are these non-conventional sources of energy? Now, these are the one which are renewable, which are unlimited. They are everlasting, and they do not get exhausted also. For example, sun, energy from the sun, energy from the wind, energy from the water, energy from the ocean, and energy from the earth. So these are considered as our renewable or non-conventional sources of energy. Now, coming to the types of non-conventional source of energy. Just now mentioned, like the energy from the wind is termed as wind energy. The energy from the sun is termed as solar energy. The energy which is harnessed from the ocean waters, it is termed as tidal energy. And the energy which is harnessed from the interior of the earth, it is termed as geothermal energy. And biomass energy is the energy which is harnessed or made use from the plant or animal materials. Thereby, the burning of these particular fuels like wood, crops, manure, these all things when burned, they help in releasing energy. So these are the different types of non-conventional sources of energy. Now next, beginning with the first type, that is the wind energy, or the energy which is harnessed with the help of the moving air. Now moving air is nothing but wind, we all know that. So here what happens is the kinetic energy of the wind is converted into the electrical energy. This is done with the help of a special setup called as windmill, and these windmills, they help in converting, the rotation of these winds helps in the conversion of this kinetic energy into the electrical energy. Now if we look at the examples, if we look at the process where it actually happens, this wind energy is not available at all the places. It is specifically found near the coastal areas, that is on shores. So it is this particular areas where we can see the intensity of moving air fast or low depending upon the pressure differences. That is why, so this is, though it is an efficient energy resource, friendly in nature, non polluting, but it, because its speed varies, it cannot be used everywhere. So it is confined only to the coastal areas. Now coastal areas, if we look at these particular areas, some of the places like Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Arunachal Pradesh, these are those particular areas, Karnataka also, Maharashtra, all the coastal parts where you can see this. These windmills helps in the, and they are installed over here, the windmills, and they assist, or they help in supplying the power supply. Okay, now some of the schemes for producing electricity from wind energy, they have been implemented, and like for example, the wind energy power station of 1 megawatt capacity has been established at Okha in Gujarat. So though in small quantity, but this particular source of energy also is one of the source which is clean, environment friendly, and in fact it helps to some extent, but it helps in the extraction of energy resources. Now applications, as I've told you, they help in they are interconnected wind turbines which helps in generation of the power, and this power they help in creating the electric current. Now these currents might be to what to say lesser extent in remote homes and all. They help in generating the batteries which are charging batteries over there, and lightning can be assisted with the usage of this wind energy. And some other processes like this wind energy helps in doing various tasks of agricultural activities also. Now the assemblage of this windmill is very costly, expensive, and even the blades of the windmills, they are their maintenance is also very high. So with the advantages also, we do have some of the disadvantages. Now next, coming to the tidal energy. Tidal energy, energy from the oceans. Now we have seen that oceans have some movements within itself. Now these movements of oceans we have already studied last year. What are these movements? The up and down movement of the ocean water is termed as tide. Now these sea waters and the ocean waters, they come as in two forms, the higher tides and the lower tides. Now what is done? These tides are actually, they are influenced by the gravitational pull of the sun, moon over there. The main influence is because of the gravitational pull over here. Now this phenomenon, because of this phenomena, electricity generation is possible with the construction of a dam like structure. We also term it as a barrage. Now what they do is, wherever with the help of tide, when the water gushes in at the near the mouth of the estuary or the place where the shore ends from the ocean, this water, when it comes up, it is stopped, it is let in, and the barrage is closed, and then this water is made to fall. It helps in generating the electricity like we see in the hydroelectric dams and all. Thus this tidal energy also is responsible for electricity generation, which is actually confined again only to the coastal areas. Generation is again generation of energy is limited over here. The most common and often heard is the solar energy. Now solar energy, this is the most available free source of energy, we can say, which is seen since prehistoric times, and is the primary, where sun being the primary source of energy, the ultimate source of all the energy forms, we can say. Okay, now this solar energy, which is the energy given by the sun. Now our country being tropical country, it's endowed with plenty of solar energy. Now exceptional cases is only the monsoon period, when it is at the time of night or when it is cloudy or rainy season. Otherwise we have this sunshine throughout the year, excluding this particular period. This energy, which is directly and indirectly very important to us. Indirectly, it is responsible for all our food through plants. Again, through plants means what comes to our mind? Photosynthesis. Photosynthesis means conversion of this light energy into chemical energy. Now this is your indirect method. Now directly, if we take up, directly it helps in heating up of the atmosphere. It is found that 40% of the solar rays reaches the earth's surface, the uppermost layer of the atmosphere, which helps in heating up the atmosphere. Now this heat also is responsible of cause of winds. It's also responsible for the water cycle. Just imagine, without this heat, no evaporation, means we cannot imagine water from the oceans, all the water bodies going up into the sky, formation of clouds, not at all possible. So directly or indirectly, it plays a very vital role. Now advantages of this particular energy is that this is environment friendly. Now generation, as it is a renewable resource, its production does not emit any kind of harmful pollutants, we can say, or emissions over there. So this is one of the best form, and also this is a renewable resource, inexhaustible, like if you take the example of the fossil fuels and all, they, what happens, they get finished off, they are limited, they get exhausted in the future. Our main intention is to avoid the over dependency on fossil fuels. We are looking for this non-conventional sources of energy there. Though, and then reduction in deforestation over there. We do not have to depend upon all the trees, forests and all. This is all coming from the ultimate natural source, that is sun. And even to some extent there is low maintenance of cost also. Unlike what we have studied the previous ones, there we had some kind of construction scene, like for tidal energy, construction of dams, like for wind energy, construction of windmills and all. But here we don't have to think about the solar energy system, it is just low maintenance system. So this in short helps in lighting process. It also helps in to some extent the public transportation also. Then in case this is free of cost, pollutions, the best of all is this is renewable and pollution free, we can say that. Now apart from that, the solar cooker what we use up, that also is one of the best source. This energy is specially being used in most part of the countries, being like especially the Thar desert of Rajasthan, which has the great proximity of this sunshine. What to say, we can say throughout brighter sunshine, we can say. Now it can be used to provide power to the solar water heaters, solar refrigerations, solar drying, street lighting, cooking, pumping, power generators. These all are its various uses. Even the photovoltaics PV technology, it helps in conversion of the sunlight directly into electricity. Now, this is the recent development what we have seen in the solar energy there. Now, some of the plants what we can see about the solar power plants are Kalyanpur in Aligarh district of Uttar Pradesh, then Gurgaon in Haryana, and the largest solar power plant of India is located at Madhopur near Bhuj. Now, this is the main intention of this power plant is to sterilize the milk cans. So, this is how solar energy is useful to us. Now, coming to the energy from the earth, that is geothermal energy. Again, going back to your chapter 4th of class 9th. Now, this geothermal energy is the energy which is generated from the earth's interior. Earth's interior, imagine the structure of the earth. The internal structure is the innermost part is the core, where the temperatures are 4000 plus. Now this heat which progressively grows hotter and hotter with the increasing depth. Now these high temperatures what they do, they make the surrounding rocks also hot. Everything turned into the molten form, and wherever the groundwater availability of groundwater is there, so this molten magma, hot magma, turns the water hot. Thereby it becomes so very hot that it results in the steam formation, and this steam which comes out through cracks and all, when used with the help of pipes and all, it helps to drive turbines, thereby generating electricity. Now this electricity what is generated from the geothermal form from the earth's interior, it is harnessed in aquaculture, horticulture, in mostly food processing units, and for heating, the providing heat for the residential areas and electricity generation. Though it is very minimum, not much, but two experimental projects that have been set up in India to harness geothermal energy. They are, one is the Parvati Valley in Himachal Pradesh, and other is located in the Puga Valley of Ladakh. So this is all about your geothermal energy from the earth's interior. Now next, coming to biogas. Now what is this biogas? Biogas, initially this is actually the gas by the term energy obtained from the organic wastes. now which is converted into energy by direct combustion or by direct conversion of such wastes into methane, alcohol or other storage fuels. So basically this is a mixture of cow dung, farm waste along with water. Proportion is nearly 1 is to 3, where the slurry is made and it is put into a big digester tank. So that is how the methane is formed over there. And the process mostly takes place in the absence of oxygen. It's anaerobic oxidation, where it results in the formation of methane gas along with some other gases of like carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide. But the 75% of the component that is released from this digester tank, what is dug as a hole in the deep inside the earth, it is methane. So this is termed as your biogas. Now this the picture what you can see, it's the digester tank over there. Now not only it provides us with the gas which helps in the cooking purpose, which helps in the lighting purpose over there, and even the cooking whatever happens, it's without smoke, therefore it doesn't cause any pollution there, and it is one of the cheapest gaseous fuel we can say. Now mostly the common term what we use for this is your gobar gas plant we say. So biogas plant, the where mostly the cattle dung plays a vital role there. Now along with the cattle dung, all kind of animal dung also is taken up, poultry wastes are taken up, vegetable wastes are taken up. They all form the fuel for it, the raw material for the formation of this particular gas. It is considered as an ideal domestic fuel. Why ideal? It burns without smoke, no pollution, its calorific value is high, cheapest gaseous fuel, and twin benefits. What are those twin benefits? Along with the what to say the energy, the gas that is being provided for cooking purposes and for burning purposes, it also provides us with manure which is rich in nitrogen. After the extraction of gas, whatever the left out material is there in the digester tank, that acts as manure, which is very quality manure which is used in the farm. So these are some of the advantages of your biogas power production, biogas plant. Important questions covering 2 marks, 3 marks, 1 mark can be expected from this particular point. Now the last part is your nuclear energy. Now nuclear energy, as by the name itself says, that it is produced by two important elements, uranium and thorium. Now these are the two major elements which helps in the production of nuclear energy. Now these in India, when you take up, these are found in Jharkhand, Rajasthan and Kerala. Now the production of this particular energy is through two types of reactions. Now these two types of reactions, fission and fusion. Now mostly fission reactions can be used for producing electrical energy over here. Now this is through uranium and thorium, and what the future development, it's totally dependent on this nuclear energy. It is believed and expected that now the demand of the energy is increasing day by day. Natural resources like coal, petroleum cannot be lasting for a long time, they are getting exhausted. So the ultimate source of energy in the in the future, we can say, we will all have to depend, or nuclear energy will be one of the dominant source of energy, we can say. Now when we look at the other countries, they have already started harnessing it, but when it comes to India, so slowly we are in the race, but much of the modifications, much of the advancements have not yet taken place. Now this explains all about the non-conventional sources of energy, energy resources. Why is the need for these particular resources? Just to avoid the over dependency on fossil fuels, because of the growing consumption of this energy, it's resulting in the depletion of all this fossil fuels over there. coal, oil, natural gas, whatever you say. And as these, whether you take up coal, oil or gas, their formation rate is very, 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 very slow, and the demand is becoming very, very high. So the rate at which we are using the fossil fuels, there is surely we are endangered that at one time we are going to face the energy crisis. And also we see that the rising prices of oil, gas, they all are giving us a chance that in future there is some uncertainty. So to avoid this, for the it's a kind of hindrance to the growth of the national economy. The most important above all is this the pollution. Increasing use of fossil fuel is causing a serious environmental threat. Now, hence, in order to make the surrounding clean, eco-friendly, so we need to switch over the use of renewable sources of energy like solar energy, wind energy, tidal energy, or the biomass energy, which are all totally this pollution free, we can say, eco-friendly, and all can be termed as clean energy resources. Thank you.